Welcome to Demasked. My name is Fresman, and today I'm joined by Enchanted Essays. Enchanted, how you doing today?
I'm alright, thanks. How about you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing all right. like I told you just a couple minutes ago before we started recording. Bit of a rough morning, but it's panning out. I think the sun's shining bright, and I'm hoping everything turns out good.
Oh, that's good.
Now, I'm curious. I actually just recently watched your video on Inside Number 9.
Oh, really? Thank you. What did you think of it?
I'd seen minor coverage on I believe it's the Halloween event. I don't really have a better way of putting it, but the Halloween episode, the Haunted Studio episode, and I think your video might be the most comprehensive coverage that I've seen on that episode.
Ah, thank you.
I saw one person's video way back, and it was mainly just yeah, it's kind of spooky, and then the video just ends.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually I'm watching more Inside Number 9 at the moment because I'm going to be doing a sort of a spoiler-free full series review. I won't name names because I can't remember the names, but there is someone who did make a full series review, and they opened by showing a spoiler from one of the episodes. So I'm definitely not going to do that. This will be like the most spoiler-free video possible.
I've run into that lately with not only show reviews but video game reviews, and it's people who put spoilers not even in the opening of the video but in the thumbnail.
Oh god, that's bad. I mean, if it's a video analyzing something, that's different. But it's a review. I think sometimes people lose track of what a review is about. It's not about your opinion, even though your opinion is a big part of it. It's the function of it is to tell someone whether or not you think they will enjoy it. You know what I mean? That's not, and it might be that you don't enjoy it, but you think that someone from a certain demographic will. So yeah, I think that's important. That's just why unless I'm doing a video like that Inside Number 9 one where I'm analyzing something in depth, I will avoid spoilers pretty much entirely.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't believe personally I have a way to watch it, at least on hand, without spending money. And so some of these comprehensive breakdowns are welcome, especially with that Halloween episode, because I can't do jump scares very well.
Yeah. I did soften the jump scare with one of these things is not like the other.
Well, was it the altered clip of A Quiet Night In with the ghost lady in the background?
Yeah.
I was watching that on my large main monitor at full screen, and I'm like, I don't see what's she talking about? I don't really see a... Oh, God!
Yeah, it is a big jump scare when you first see it. But it's definitely more of a jump scare with the original audio on it.
Well, I had to, I felt so dumb because I had to pause because I was too busy staring to the right where the two guys were just a minute ago, and I'm like, is there something in the bushes? I guess I'm just not getting it. What's going on? And out of the corner of my eye, I'm like, oh, a hand. Oh, there's a person. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've been curious. What is the process for writing one of these essays for one of your videos? Because the breakdowns are so comprehensive that I'm almost infuriated that I don't have that same skill set.
Bless you. I mean, with the essays rather than the reviews, with the reviews, it's just kind of sometimes it's, oh, I think this kind of thing will probably appeal to the same audience who like this review, and that also I tend to go for things that don't have a lot of reviews of them already. It's not always the case, but sometimes I do, and then sometimes it's just I see something and I feel like the need to talk about it. But with the video essays, it has to be that I feel the need to talk about something. Like I need to sort of make an observation. I need to sort of start with an observation and go from there. And with that episode deadline, it just really fascinated me. So it just sort of went from there. And then with that one, you know, I sort of started reading academic literature and just because I wanted to sort of see if there was academic literature on why found footage is particularly scary, you know, and the effect that has on people. Actually, I've started going. I'm not sure if I'll even use it, but there's something I'm working on a review on, which I'll probably also do a video essay on further down the line. And I've started reading academic literature for another one. So yeah, for a channel called Enchanted Essays, I've only made one video with actual academic literature in it, and only a handful of my videos are essays because I mostly do reviews. I was originally just going to do video essays, but then when I was sort of planning it sort of in late 2021, I was like, well, I should probably space it out. So I was planning on all doing it. So 1 week I'd do a essay and 1 week I'd do a review. Not realizing how much work that would be. So now I alternate, film and TV reviews with a single episode review, and then I'll just kind of try and do a video essay when possible. I have a lot of with the reviews. I tend to just sort of write them until they're done, and I'll usually have one or two at the go at the same time. But with the essays, I've still got ones that I started writing in 2021 that I do intend on finishing at some point that I just have not finished. I had one that I started in 2021 that was a review of every Paddington TV series because it's been adapted for television 4 times, and it would have been perfect at the beginning of this year, end of last year, when Paddington in Peru came out. Obviously I knew that was coming a long way ahead of time, so I had plenty of time to do that, but it just never happened. So that, and of course with that one I'd have to like go back and rewatch a lot of those shows. So that's kind of a disadvantage, but yeah, so it is definitely more difficult and more sporadic with the video essays. That video was supposed to come out for in Halloween of, I can't remember what year it came out now, the Inside Number 9 one. Was it the year before last? I can't remember, but it was supposed to come out in October, and I got it out at like the very end of November. That was a particularly hard one, I think, because I wasn't sure what to do for like the ones where I was talking about Twitter or the ones where I was talking about academic literature. So it was just kind of working out what to put on screen as B-roll for those ones. And of course I didn't have an avatar for that. So, which, does help. You can is something that you can cut to, although I'm going to try not to do that as much. But I didn't even have like an avatar to cut to, so I had to keep finding things relevant to whatever I was talking about. But yeah, anyway, so that's my sort of writing process, really.
And then since you mentioned it, things coming out on Halloween, do you have anything planned for this year?
I do, yes. It's the first Halloween where I've planned something and it's coming out on time. I've got 2 Halloween episode reviews coming out. So I've just finished The Monkeys, reviewing every episode of that. Because I then did like the ranking videos for that, I've bought myself a bit of time. Also because I've just starting doing memberships on 3 platforms at once. Don't ask. But today's video is a just a sort of an overview of what I've got available on my tiers on Patreon and stuff. And one is a Halloween episode of The Young Ones, which is going to be the next series I'm going to review. I did a full series review May last year, and that did really well. And I'm sure the generation that grew up with those shows wouldn't really see it, but there is definitely a kind of crossover in sort of style and format of the shows between the monkeys and the young ones. So that will be the next series I review. So but I've started off with the Halloween episode from like series 2, just because I feel like it's just so I could get something seasonal out. And then the Halloween episode of Bottom, which is a series that with 2 of the same people from the young ones, Rick Mail and Adrian Edmondson. And the third one will be the full series review of Inside Number 9. So I've just been rewatching the whole series. And it's quite a difficult show to binge, just at least for me. I mean, when I initially saw them, I would have to I couldn't watch more than one in a day for the first time, because I would have so much to think about with each episode. So I've been getting through them a bit quicker than that. But yeah, I've just been rewatching them, some of which I've only seen once, even though I love the show. And so I've had to sort of, even though my review of it is pretty much, the script is pretty much finished, I just want to make sure I watch them all again in case one of them, gives me something else to say.
Now, my question is, when are you going to do a full series review with spoilers of Psychoville?
Oh, yes, because I did do a spoiler-free review a while back, but yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to do one with spoilers or not, because of course I don't know if you've seen, I did start doing that podcast I think 2 years ago. I really should pick that up again. And I interviewed the guy who did like the digital marketing for that show, and I've never been able to bring myself to edit it, because just hearing myself is so painful. I feel bad because I've managed to edit 2 interviews since then that I've done. I've interviewed the director Peter Richardson twice now, and I've managed to edit those. But those weren't as long. This interview was about 2 hours, and I feel bad because this guy, he's a busy guy working for, a sort of film or TV production company, and he very generously gave me 2 hours of his time, and I haven't edited that, so I will need to fix that at some point. But I think I'll probably need to find someone else to edit it or something, just because it's just so daunting editing yourself, especially because all my videos are scripted, so I just feel comfortable. Because I am someone who is more eloquent when they've written stuff down in advance. I know that might sound obvious to some people, but like there are definitely people who are more eloquent when they talk rather than when they write stuff down, and I'm the opposite. I feel confident in what I'm saying, writing down. When I'm talking, I have filler words and stuff, and I feel far more self-conscious. I've started doing that though with I've started making sort of members-only videos that are unscripted. I was just editing one earlier when I was waiting for you, actually, and so I have managed to move out of my comfort zone with that. But that's partially because I won't have time to write and edit members-only videos. So I'm going to have to find a way of making videos that don't take as long.
Do you see yourself making more sort of, off the cuff, unscripted content later down the road, or sticking more to the structured, scripted version of yourself?
So yeah, I think I think I don't have any members yet, but obviously if someone's paying for a membership, they're someone who's already sort of invested in me and my content and the stuff I talk about. So I don't feel as self-conscious making things that are unscripted for that audience. Whereas if any video on YouTube could be the first video someone watches. So, I want to make sure stuff's more polished for that. The exception would be, doing something on someone else's channel like this, or doing a live stream, which I haven't done in quite a while, actually. And I do really enjoy live streams. I should be doing one next week on Spinal Tap 2. Which will be fun, but yeah, I haven't done one in quite a while. So yeah, it's just live streams on my main channel that will be unscripted in the future.
Now, question for you. So, circling back to the spooky season, as it were, um, did you happen to watch Psychoville when it was coming out?
No, no. I mean, it came out in 2009, so I would have been 11. Um, so yeah, a bit young for the show. And when I was watching stuff on TV, I was watching, especially then. I think we sort of got rid of live TV and were just watching stuff on catch up. So it was pretty much usually watching stuff that with my mum and my brother, and it's definitely not my mum's thing. Psychoville, she's very squeamish, so so yeah, I completely missed it when it first came out.
It just I think I was like 16 when it came out.
Oh really?
Making me feel old. Come on, man. No, I how do I word it? So we had I was living at my dad's at the time,
Mm.
and we had like, I'm not sure what the standard cable provider is over in the UK, but we had a Comcast,
Mm.
and Psychoville for some reason had fallen under like the free section, like you didn't have to pay for any of it, but they
Mm.
would update it weekly with each new episode. And I felt like I was having a fever dream with every episode.
Yeah, yeah. That is a great thing about that. Actually, I'm starting my because I don't know if you know that inside number nine, the one shot episode David and Maureen is what inspired inside number nine. So they so I'm starting my inside number nine review by talking about that. It's so brilliant that episode.
I I think I need to go back and watch it because the last time
Mm.
I watched it was when it came out.
Yeah.
So it's been, I think it's been long enough for a rewatch. I think it's been.
Yeah, absolutely.
My only issue is how do I explain it to my partner?
Yeah.
You see,
Yeah.
there's this clown, and then Hitler shows up at one point, and if you pay attention, if you pay attention to that dancing, singing woman in the back,
Yeah, I
but
think
don't draw too much attention.
yeah, I think it's I think a lot of comedy shows are weird when you explain them, aren't they? I mean, do you know the Mexican series El Chavo del Ocho? I'm
Yes.
probably said that wrong. Yeah, well, it's weird. It's like, oh yeah, so there's this homeless child, and like the locals hit him, but don't worry, he's actually 50. You know, if you
It's fine.
yeah, but yeah, I think a lot of comedy shows are difficult to explain. Um,
I've been having that same issue lately, trying to explain brand mascots to people.
mm,
Like, are you by chance familiar with Pepsi Man?
I am not.
So, oh, here we go. This is the perfect arena for this. Pepsi Man was a not a spokesman, but a mascot meant to like just push regular Pepsi products. But the whole thing was like, oh no, I'm working on this construction site and it's so hot outside. Whatever will I do? I'm dying of thirst. Hard cut to a 6 foot tall chrome man sprinting as hard as he can. And then when he shows up, he has no face, but he waves his hand and like a little mouth pops open and he makes the sound of a can opening. And then they have a Pepsi.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely hard to explain.
I've been so badly like I don't have the means nor the skill to, but I so badly want to direct like a horror short about Pepsi Man.
Yes, that would be interesting.
Or the Noid. Does anybody out there remember the Noid for Domino's Pizza?
No. Also, these might not have been shown over here. I don't know.
Let's say I feel myself aging by the minute. Like I look down at my hands, I'm like, has it been that long?
Yeah.
Now, if you had to pick, specifically speaking on Inside Number 9, what is your top of the hill episode?
Oh, well, I think Deadline is my personal favourite, but because it's just the one that fascinates me the most, but I'm not sure if I'd consider it the best one. I know it's a very boring answer, it's the answer everyone gives, but 12 Days of Christine is brilliant. I just rewatched that today, and that is a really fantastic one. Yeah, I'm trying to think. It's difficult to just go through them all off the top of your head, because you just know that there's probably some brilliant one that you're just forgetting in that moment. Yeah, Cold Comfort, that's another good one. But yeah, I think 12 Days of Christine, it's probably like the easiest one to point to as like a really great one. I think also partially because it's not as subjective, because it's less comedic and because it's less experimental. I mean, an episode like Night of the Proms, it is probably like one of the most divisive ones. But it's like an underperforming Inside Number 9 episode is still like a fascinating half hour of television. And I do feel like they didn't fully achieve what they set out to do, but it is still like fascinating to watch what they were trying to do. So yeah, I know if Reece Shearsmith is listening to this, he will hate this answer, but 12 Days of Christine is a brilliant one. But yeah, the Deadline is the one that sort of fascinates me the most, because it's presenting you with like these pieces, and you're going, why have the ghosts decided to show us this?
I say, and special guest on the show, welcome Reece Shearsmith.
Yeah, you could just put clips of his rage compilations in. Actually, that Inside Number 9 video has done well recently. I think because he's doing Taskmaster at the moment.
Oh yeah.
It did. The video started doing well. The video did all right when it first came out. And I'm not too fussed about how well my videos do. I have this mindset of if it reaches 100 views within the first 24 hours, I'm happy. And then once it reaches 4 figures, so 1,000 views, I'm sort of done with it. I'm not going to change the thumbnail. I'm not going to put it in an end screen. I'm just going to leave it alone. So with that one, it I was happy that it did well. I was a bit happier than usual just because of how long I spent on it and how much work I'd put in and how I'd really tried hard to get it out before December. So I stopped posting for quite a while just because I was focusing on this one video. So I was but yeah, it's really started to take off. I think that I can't remember the timing of when Steve Pemberton did Taskmaster. I think it might have done a bit better then, but then it really started to pick up when the marketing of Series 9 came out. So they are doing the Stage Fright tour at the moment, so it might be that, but I'm pretty sure it's mainly because Reece Shearsmith is doing Taskmaster, which has such a huge international following. So that's probably why it's blown up right now. So yeah, I forgot what the question was.
Well, and I wanted to make a quick aside. I'm very glad for your answer to the previous question actually being a small, comprehensive list of Inside Number 9 episodes, not just, well, it's hard to pick one and then just leave it at that.
Yeah,
so everybody has everybody has a favorite somewhere of something. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
I where trying to figure out where would I be able. I'm still. It's stuck in my head of like I should watch Psychoville again, but I don't know where or how is the problem.
Have you seen The League of Gentlemen?
I have not. I'm very much behind.
Ah. Oh yeah, that's
Is it?
a good show. It's got things that have aged poorly, predictably. But it's still it's a really fascinating show, and that's a show that I haven't made a video on, even though I've named one of my membership tiers after it. But it's one that I haven't made a video on yet because, again, it's a whole video essay thing I've got something that fascinates me about it, and I want to write about that rather than sort of give an overview of a sort of spoiler-free overview of different aspects of the show. And I think it would have to be multiple video essays. That's how fascinating the show is. Like one per series probably. Just because they take the characters and they do something different with them from what you'd expect, and that kind of thing.
So my question is, since you brought it up, what hasn't aged well?
Oh, in Psychoville, in League of Gentlemen, I think the thing that most people will think of is Papa Lazarou, which is this kind of demonic character who's from this sort of travelling fair, like kind of from like Something Wicked This Way Comes. And it's a character that's sort of made to look like a black and white minstrel, but it's kind of, they've kind of done it not because they're portraying a black character, but because they're trying to make you uncomfortable. And it's kind of like, I know that, okay, on one hand, it's like they haven't intended it to be a race thing, but at the same time, I mean, it kind of is. Like, and also it's kind of like, you're all white, it's not your tool to make people uncomfortable with. They do straight up do Yellowface in another episode. There is an episode where Steve Pemberton's playing a Japanese man for no apparent reason, and it's also just a really unfunny storyline that the character's in as well. And anyway, and then there's also a transgender character, and all of the jokes are, this trans person is talking about having their knob cut up to make a vagina. Isn't that gross? And it's interesting because a lot of the fandom I interact with online are either trans or allies. And they sort of see the character, like they know how the character is intended, but they still kind of see the character as, it's nice that they're accepted by the community and everyone uses her new name, and that's really nice. And she's one of the few characters that isn't an awful person. But then they brought the character back when they reunited in like 2016, and then they somehow made it worse. They made the character sort of a for lack of a better word, like sort of social justice warrior, and just like really horrible and sort of comically nitpicky about pronouns and that kind of thing. And oh, sorry, it's fine. And that was just where it sort of was like, oh, this feels mean-spirited now. And there was an interview with Mark Gatiss at the time that kind of felt like, well, it used to be about rights, but now there's all these uppity people. And there's something very interesting that Robin Ince, who I know Shea Smith and Steve Pemberton are friends with, Robin Ince said something. He used to be a stand-up comedian and used to work with Ricky Gervais. But since Ricky Gervais isn't talking to him because Robin Ince is like, you could stop, making all your jokes about trans people. But anyway, Robin Ince said this thing of when people reach a certain age, they decide that all of the progress that happened when they were growing up was enough, and now people are asking for too much. And it was like, and it happened, if like, I don't know, 30 years ago or 20 years ago, I suppose it's probably more recent than that, and people were like, well, in my day, gay people were happy to have homosexuality be legal in the first place. Why do they want to get married? It's kind of that kind of thing of, just because, the progress that happened in your youth it doesn't have to stop here, if that makes sense. But anyway, I know I've kind of gone on a tangent, but it was relevant to your question as what's aged poorly in the League of Gentlemen. I'm sure there are a couple of other things that I'm not thinking of, but I think for the most part, the way they deal with things, the way they deal with dark humor, particularly like stuff relating to child abuse, I think they handle stuff quite well. I think they know the difference between being funny and being uncomfortable, and they can do both. They're not saying something edgy so that you laugh because you're uncomfortable, and they go, "Ha! Look, that's a laugh." I feel like they know when they're doing one or the other. And I think the trouble with it is with a lot of edgy comedy is that people don't. I feel like they know where the boundaries are. Even if the stuff they are doing is right on the edge of it.
So, and like for the party people at home, the characters that were mentioned at the beginning of this will not be showing up on screen.
Yeah.
I looked them up, and I've been sitting here mouth agape, just as the top of this hill. But I do agree with the sentiment that a lot of comedians do fall behind when it comes to like evolving with the times. And thankfully, in my heart of hearts, the really good comedians do evolve and even go as far as to bring up what occurred in the past and change. Like one of my favorite American comedians is a guy by the name of Christopher Titus. And his whole stance in like the late 2000s and the early 2010s is this whole like, oh, we raised a generation of wimps, or the usual joke people lean on as like, oh, participation trophies. But then in his most recent special, he's like, hey, I want to go back and like talk to that group of people. He's like, because those people have gone through the worst 30 years of modern American history.
Yeah.
And at the end of this whole spiel of like everything from like 1995 to 2015, he goes, you know what? Enjoy your participation trophies. You've earned them.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping for the same growth in certain comedians. I know it's probably not gonna happen. But we'll see. You never know. I mean, for some of them, you do know, but
I also always have respect for people like that in history who have, held up their hands and gone, you know what, you're right, the stuff I did in the past was wrong. I can't remember the name of the guy who did a video on it, unfortunately, because it's really good. But I watched a video about a month ago about how Dr. Seuss, not only wrote racist children's books, but wrote a load of anti-Japanese propaganda, both during the war and for soldiers like after the war, in Japan. And then he went over there like 10 years later for, I think it was like an article for a newspaper or something, and it changed his opinion, and he I think that there was like some line in one of his children's books that's like, a person is a person no matter how small they are, or something like that. It was like Horton Hears a Who or something, and it came from this experience of him realize like, oh, Japanese people aren't this evil race of people that we need to be suspicious of. They're humans, and I should learn from that. And the writer of have you heard of the Tintin series?
Yes, actually.
So yeah, obviously those are written, even longer ago, and obviously have like being about travel and being from that time have stereotypes in them. And there's one book that's banned called Tintin in the Congo. Yeah, and of course this was when Belgium occupied the Congo as well. And again, the writer a few years later was like, yeah, I'm sorry. And he re-released a new version of the book. It's still a book version that can't be released now because the designs are how you'd imagine them to be, of the local people there. But he'd rewritten it so it was less colonial or something. And he'd also changed the name of a Jewish character because he found out that it was like quite a sort of Jewish stereotype name, so he changed the name of the character. So like it's nice to be able to point to instances in the past of people who sort of defending their work, when you're probably right, I should reflect on this. I mean, especially if you look at how Graham Linehan, the writer of Father Ted and the IT Crowd, how that all started. He's, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but started it off as sort of an acclaimed TV writer, and for the past at least probably about 10 years now, he's been a hardcore anti-trans activist, and he his family have left him over it. He was previously he previously campaigned for legalization of abortion in Ireland, and I think he's gone back on that just because a load of anti-trans people are pro-abortion or something. But anyway, the reason that whole thing started was there was an episode that he'd written and directed of the IT Crowd, and it was from about 20 years ago, so it's kind of understandable that it's aged poorly. And in it, the horrible CEO character starts dating a trans woman who says on the first date that she's trans, and he doesn't pay attention. And then afterwards, when he realizes, he becomes really grossed out by her, and it portrays her sympathetically, but it also kind of portrays her with negative stereotypes of, oh, she's really good at drinking beer and throwing darts because she's one of the lads because she used to be one.
Look at how manly this woman is.
Yeah. And so it was probably well intentioned, but still had negative stereotypes on it. And during a rerun a few years later, people pointed out that there were issues with this episode. And instead of listening to that criticism and learning about people who have that experience, he sort of went in this radical direction. And I think it's possibly kind of what happened with J.K. Rowling. It's they went for the people who agreed with them. They sort of assumed that anyone who disagreed with them didn't have anything that they could learn from, and just listened to the people that agreed with them, and that's kind of what radicalized them. And I'm sorry, I know this is this is similarly, gone off on a tangent. I do apologize, but
No,
it was relevant originally.
No, I say not to worry. That is the entire idea of the show, is there's no structure, there's no plan.
That's good.
I go out of my way to not write notes just to see what happens.
That's brilliant.
Well, so one of the things that I'm glad has shifted sort of dramatically in the last 10 to 15 years is the use of the LGBTQ crowd as not only the butt of the joke, but the like, what's the word I'm looking for? Not the threat of, but like, what are you, gay? Like that's
Yeah, being
fallen.
used as an insult. Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't remember what show it was. Honestly, I think it was the Scream MTV series that did it. What might be the best, even though that show is kind of terrible. But
Mm.
um, but I wanted like a cheesy like horror movie type fix, and I started watching that. But there's a character that comes out as gay in between seasons and is not brought up like it's not like, hey, I'm gay now. It's,
Mm.
oh yeah, I'd love for you guys to meet my girlfriend. They're like, wait, girlfriend? She's like, yeah, gay, get over it. And then that's it.
Mm.
I'm like, all right, yeah, I'm glad it wasn't like the whole season of like, oh, we gotta struggle with this idea that's the most simple thing to grasp ever.
Mm. Yeah, they did that with Dead to Me. I must watch series 3. But anyway, in series 2 of Dead to Me, one of the two main characters starts dating a woman, and it just, so people are like, why did they do that? But it just felt very natural for that character to be a lesbian. So it's I don't, it kind of just made sense. It's never kind of announced that they're bisexual. They just start, dating a woman. And similarly, like a supporting character turns out to be a lesbian, and it's just like, again, it's like this wasn't even a character who had any confirmed relationships in the previous series, so not really that surprising either way that they're a lesbian. Um,
Or have you ever
yeah.
read Scott Pilgrim versus the World?
I've just seen the movie.
So there's a plot point that completely gets removed from the movie where Steven Stills, Scott's bandmate, comes out as gay at the end of the story. But it's not this big thing. It's not like, oh my god, I'm gay. You just see him walking next to a guy, and Scott's like, hey, who's that? And he's like, oh, it's my boyfriend. And he's like, turns out I'm gay, so yeah. And he just kind of like shoulder shrugs.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really interesting way. It's nice to see, just like how it's just kind of naturally integrated into stories like that.
Well, like even outside of the realm of media and pop culture, we're just people. Who cares?
Yeah.
Good for you. Express yourself. Get out there.
Yeah.
Happy Pride Month in a couple of months. I know it's like I believe it's June.
Yeah. we're a long way off, but yeah. Happy Pride Month all year round.
If you happen to be listening to this in June, happy Pride Month.
Yeah.
Don't you know I plan these episodes out years in advance?
I pretty much have been doing that with my videos. I've got stuff planned until January. I've got stuff written for January. I've got my Inside Number 9 video, and I've got because there's a new Robin Hood series coming out. I've been writing a review of Robin of Sherwood, and I'm planning on releasing that early next month. And then my I've got videos recorded that I'm like, I don't think, especially because I want to try and get some Christmas stuff out. I've got a video that I've recorded that I don't think will be out until January.
Now, I have been curious. I meant to ask this earlier. Pardon me. What is the longest that a video has taken to come out?
Oh, it's annoying that I keep coming back to it. But yeah, it's probably the Inside Number 9 one, just because of the going into the academic literature and writing it. It is my longest video apart from my compilation videos of Monkeys reviews. I mean, I think probably the compilation of Monkeys reviews videos technically are the ones that take the longest if you take into account the time it took me to make the individual videos. But of course, putting them together in a compilation and then putting the rankings in between and putting introduction and conclusion at the end of the video doesn't take as long. But although I did have trouble with my 3-hour one, which is a compilation of my Series 1 reviews and my Series 2 reviews, I had to sort of give up on it, and then I posted about it, and a friend said, "Hey, do you want me to try to export it for you?" I was like, "Yes." So that's so yeah. Thanks to Gadgies for exporting that for me. So and then it was good because then that meant I could push everything back a week. So everything's going to be coming out. So this week's video was supposed to come out last week and that kind of thing because I was giving up on the rankings. So so that's good. Yeah, I'm glad that I've got ahead of myself. So yeah, fingers crossed that it stays that way. Especially as I'm trying to make members only videos as well. And so I've made, I think, like 5 or something so far. And I'm sort of experimenting with reviewing different things. I went to a sort of small film convention a few weeks ago, and there's going to be another one in November. So I've recorded a review of that. I recorded a review of a couple of apps. I recorded my first ever album review. I'm going to start reviewing the Monkeys albums, which would be interesting because a lot of them I haven't listened to all the way through. And you know that I released the first one a week or two ago, and I'm not sure it's that good. But but yeah, I'm really enjoying putting myself out of my comfort zone. You know, I know that I don't know as much about music as I do about, you know, from the perspective of like structure and that kind of thing, the way I do with film and television writing. So it's but yeah, I'm enjoying doing that, and you know, I'm learning from it. I feel like I'm definitely going to put more preparation into the next one that I do. And so yeah, I'm probably going to review the Beatles albums once I've finished the Monkeys ones. But yeah, I'm definitely going to do the Monkeys studio albums. And
where would you rank Hey Hey We're the Monkeys?
Oh, do you mean the song or the television special of that name?
The song.
Yeah, I do like it. I do prefer how the song sounds all the way through to the one that's just on TV, because I like the guitar solo and stuff in it. But yeah, not sure how I'd rank the individual song. I'll probably rank the albums rather than the individual songs. And I think the first album is it's solid, but you know, it was their first one. They're all, apart from a few that Mike had written, they're all written by other people. It sounds a bit, some of the songs sound a bit outdated for the year it came out. It came out late 1966. And considering that these are outside songwriters and the fact that they probably, you know, didn't release the album until the show came out, you know, there's a few songs on there that do feel like they've been sat on a shelf for a little while. And especially ones written for the pilot, you do kind of feel like they were made to tick a box, you know, and sort of fit the criteria of that first episode. But you know, still, it's stuff by good songwriters. I mean, there's a few Carole King ones on that first album. I'm not as big a fan of the Boyce and Hart ones, and actually I felt really bad because One of those two songwriters died like a couple of days after I recorded it. So
No, no.
I was like, oh, I'm shit talking this guy's work, and now he's died. It's gonna look really disrespectful. But I don't think I'm ever too harsh on stuff. I just felt like it felt a bit simplistic lyrically compared to the other stuff. And I'm sure that's not how I'll feel about their later stuff. I'm sure that's just stuff on that first album. But I started listening to the second album in preparation for my review on it, and I do feel it's definitely improved. Although I've also been listening to it's got high highs and lower lows. It's got a song called "The Day We Fall in Love" that is all spoken word, and it's just like, oh, they've just written this so that the young girls have a song to swoon at Davy. It's just like, the day we fall in love, there'll be like birds singing, and it's just so corny. I mean, spoken word segments in songs are corny. This is a whole song of that. But and Auntie Griselda, they really gave Peter a song he couldn't really sing. But some he had a really limited vocal range, and they just gave him a really bad song. I feel I think someone said that they tricked him into singing the song. They were like, "Oh yeah, it's totally like an anti-Vietnam protest song," and he was like, "Okay, I'll do it then." But yeah, it's a but like I'd say the high points of the album are probably better. But anyway, I was going to move on to something else, and I've completely forgotten. I remember. I've been listening to the soundtrack of Robin of Sherwood, it's the Robin Hood show that I'm going to have a review of next month, just because I'm going to be I'm in the process of finishing writing that one. By the way, I never sort of write reviews in order. Like, I never sort of write them chronologically. I just kind of skip to a bit that I want to talk about and then come back to that later. It's annoying. There used to be this thing called Write or Die. That was this website where if you stopped, you'd do writing sprints on there for up to 30 minutes, and if you stopped for more than a certain amount of seconds, it would start screeching, and then if you still didn't write anything, it would start deleting your work. So it was like writing with a gun to your head, which is brilliant for just sort of getting those initial ideas out, so you're not sort of stuck staring at a blank page. But it went down a while ago. I think the guy who created it sort of blew up very quickly when it first came out 10 years ago or so, and they updated it for a while, but then they just sort of left it alone. I think it's probably that the domain has run out or something, but it's real shame. I was kind of distraught because I was just like, how do I write now? But anyway, so that's probably the Robin of Sherwood one. I am going to go into spoilers for that because partially because you can't really talk about the third series without talking about spoilers, and it is a spoiler that's pretty well known for people who are familiar with the show or remember the show. And secondly, it's because a lot of people are comparing. The main reason I'm doing this is because when I reviewed the Robin Hood series that I grew up with Jonas Armstrong and Keith Allen in. And Richard Armitage, all the I said, what other Robin Hood things you want me to review, and like everyone was talking about Robin of Sherwood, so I was, and people were like, I can't help but compare the two, and there is one thing that I feel like they're even though obviously they're both Robin Hood shows, they're attempting a very different kind of series. So the only thing I feel like I can talk about it, like comparing the two, is where they attempt the same thing, and where they attempt the same thing is where I have to go into spoilers for both shows, without which I know it sounds convoluted now, but it won't sound convoluted in the video. But yeah, and I've found I'm surprised at how much I'm writing about that show, even though it is spoiler free for the most part. I think it's partially because of the legacy of the show. It's had some audio dramas come out. The first audio drama I cannot find anywhere, which is really annoying. But the other, but has audio dramas. It has spin-off books. The soundtrack album was very successful. Annoyingly, the band did their last ever show last year, and it was playing that album all the way through. And I'm like, I've got into the show too late. But anyway, so I think maybe it's the legacy of the show that's why I'm spending so much time talking about it. That it was massively impactful on future Robin Hood shows, particularly the whole thing of having a character from the Middle East as part of Robin's gang, which happened because the writers of the Kevin Costner Robin Hood film were fans of that show and had just assumed that he was a character from the original Legends, and then found out that he wasn't, and they had to then change the name of the character. And it's interesting because Robin Hood films and TV shows have kept doing that. So obviously the Kevin Costner one, that was Morgan Freeman's character, Azim. Then Mel Brooks parodied that with Dave Chappelle in Men in Tights. Then I haven't seen it yet, but I know that there was like a 90s Robin Hood show that was made to cash in on Xena Warrior Princess, basically, and that had a Middle Eastern character in it. And then the Robin Hood series I grew up with had a character called Jack, who was like a woman from Palestine who disguised herself as a boy. And then most recently there's been Jamie Foxx in the really terrible Taron Egerton one. I don't know if you saw that, but that was... that's the thing. With films that are bad, I'm hesitant to make videos on them now because... I don't know if you've seen, I did 2 videos on a film called Son of Dracula, which I reviewed because it was because I reviewed quite a few classic rock related films, and it was a film produced by the Beatles, starring Ringo Starr and Harry Nilsson. So I was like, perfect. And then I watched it and I was like, this film is so bad. It has no conflict in it whatsoever. I should just write a video essay about how bad it is. So I did a review and a video essay on it immediately afterwards, and it was just kind of soul destroying. Because I would have to keep watching it, because I'd have to keep writing a plot summary of it, and the plot summary is just it's really hard because nothing happens. It's like, yeah, there's all these opportunities for conflict, and yeah, no one's really that bothered. And it was marketed as a horror comedy. I think there's maybe 2 jokes in the whole fucking thing. Sorry, I try not to swear, but
no, you're good to swear on here. You're good.
Actually, I've got a friend whose dad works in the industry, who I've met through going to comedy gigs and stuff, and he's like, my dad worked on that film, and I'm like, oh no. But I didn't feel like that. The only other video I could think of off the top of my head where I was looking at a movie I thought was bad, even though I had loads of people in my comment section defending it, was the Sergeant Pepper movie. And that's another interesting thing about reviewing stuff, is there are people who will, no matter how bad you think a film is, no matter how bad the reputation for that film is, there are ride or die fans of that film who will defend it. And you know, so some of it are like, yeah, well, it might not be very good, but I really enjoy it. And then there are people who are like, well, actually, it's a film, you just don't understand the film. It's about good versus evil. And I'm like, okay, a lot of films have that theme, and and you know, if a film can have ideas that I agree with, or a message that I agree with, and still not be good. Eat the Rich, I think, is a good example of that. Although I haven't seen the original cut of that, I do want to see it, even if the director doesn't want me to. But that's the guy I've interviewed, so I do know him, and he's he likes to recut his stuff quite a lot. But anyway, that had like ideas that I really agreed with, but like the execution wasn't quite there. But anyway, so yeah, it's the interesting thing about criticism, and I do feel like there are people in those comment sections who don't understand the I'm not wrong necessarily for disliking a thing they like or vice versa. Because art is subjective, especially humor. I always say art is subjective, humor doubly so. I do feel like, I mean, if I've made a point about why something is bad, and you can contradict that, I feel like that's a more valid argument. But yeah, I have no problem with people if they enjoy something I don't enjoy. I definitely think I'd be nicer on the Sergeant Pepper movie if I watched it now. Especially as I went into the film with a different mindset than I think I would now. These days I have this mindset of any film that I go into to review, and I have reviewed films that I know have been really poorly reviewed, like Sextet. And I go into things with the mindset of high hopes, low expectations. I won't necessarily expect a film that I'm watching to be good, but I'm hoping that there'll be at least a really fun performance, or they attempt something kind of interesting that'll be fun to talk about. So, I mean, the film Skidoo, which is one of those 60s, 70s comedies that I need to talk about that kind of film again, where it's just, they don't have it, it's a comedy, but it's not very good, but they've thrown like every possible celebrity into the film. That one I only sort of found out about because it had a Harry Nilsson soundtrack, and it was Groucho Marx's last film and stuff, but it is a messy film. I probably wouldn't call it a good film just because it's a bit cluttered and the execution isn't quite there. But I did really enjoy the film. I really enjoyed the music. I really enjoyed a lot of the performances in it. That's kind of the mindset I go into things with now. And it is quite freeing with stuff like that being... I don't really look at whether or not people have reviewed stuff before when I go into things now. But I kind of, especially when I was starting out, it was quite comfortable going into something that not a lot of people had reviewed. Because first of all, search engine optimization. If people search for a review of this film, there's going to be like 2 or 3 other people who've reviewed this film. And in some instances where I've been the only person. So that's a good thing because for that reason. And I do still have a lot of videos that do well in search because of that reason. But also because, especially early on, it's the whole thing of being insecure about what I'm talking about. And there's plenty of films that I've seen. Over the past year, I've seen like quite a lot of, big famous classic films like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and Easy Rider, and In the Heat of the Night, and I don't feel like my opinions on those things are invalid, but I don't really have as much to say about them because, they're considered these brilliant films for a reason, and I don't really feel like having a big discussion about them, really. And it's partially because I know other people have had discussions about it. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't felt compelled to write about those films.
See, what I think I think what we should bring back is, have you seen? I mean, most people have, but have you seen The Shining by Stanley Kubrick?
I haven't yet. No.
So, without spoiling anything, that movie has entire documentaries around it, cross-examining every little thing.
Mm.
But like it, and it's something that I both enjoy listening to and despise, especially if it's something simple. Like
Mm.
if somebody were to write a story where it's like, an old man walked into the park and sat on a bench, and then somebody can agonize for 3 hours, like, well, maybe the bench symbolizes like the end of his life, and it's like, no, he's just an old guy sitting on a bench. And that happens a lot with The Shining, where it's like, well, in this shot, it's shot from the right side, and that symbolizes this. And then like there was this really weird cross examination that they made where you know those little tiered like letter holders you have on desks to like sort incoming and
Yeah.
outgoing mail. It was some insane point somebody was trying to make where it's like, well, you see, the way he's standing next to it and sort of facing it makes it look like he has an erection. And that must mean he feels this way in this moment. You're like, what? How did you.
Hmm.
What's going on? Like, I feel like I'm learning more about the person reviewing than I am the movie.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's one of the reasons I like the film Tommy, which I somehow haven't made a video about, is the fact that that film's art department really hits you over the head with the fact that they're doing some kind of symbolism. I mean, in the follow up to it, a sort of spiritual successor, Listomania, that really does sort of go too far with it. But it's very. There's a lot of like symbolism and stuff in it that makes it a really interesting film to like dissect and talk about. But it's making such bold decisions where you're like, okay, so this has to be them doing something for some kind of reason. But I mean, like with Baz Luhrmann's creative decisions in something like Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet, his creative decisions are so pronounced because they're so different from sort of conventional cinema. It sort of draws attention to the fact that a decision is being made.
Yes, I think here's the perfect time to announce my break into the movie reviewing genre. Stay tuned, party people at home, for my 6-hour dissection into the anti-capitalist themes of Space Jam.
I'm looking forward to it. I have a YouTube friend, Lars Land, who does make videos that long. They're a journalist in their day job, and like that's the amount of attention they put into their videos. They primarily make videos about the Beatles and their history, but they've also made videos on. They also made a video of Lost that was about 7 hours long. I think their longest video is a 12-hour one on the White Album. Which I don't think I've seen. I have seen plenty of the long ones, but I haven't seen any that long, I don't think. However long the Yellow Submarine movie one was, I watched, but yeah.
It took days.
Actually, going back to the Sgt. Pepper thing after bringing up Tommy, I think the whole thing about writing about something negative is the fact that partially because that was originally supposed to be a video essay comparing that to Across the Universe, which I ended up splitting into two just because it was very early on and I knew it was a big task to do something that big. But also I was comparing it to Jesus Christ Superstar and Tommy, which and Yellow Submarine a bit as well, because those were the films that I felt like the creators of those films were trying to replicate. So it was easy, even though Jesus Christ Superstar and Tommy had quite different techniques, it was easy to go, well, they went in this direction, even though they could have gone in this direction or that direction, So I did write a video about AI that I started like 2 years ago it was just before the writers and actors strikes, which of course, a big part of that was being against AI. So I was like, oh, brilliant. I can write that. And what I was doing was I was getting ChatGPT to write sitcom episodes. And they were hilariously bad. I mean, it's kind of like the thing with Son of Dracula is kind of no structure and no conflict. And it was like, stories where there's no conflict in them whatsoever. It wrote a Golden Girls one, and it was just like the Golden Girls go to an art gallery, the end. And it's interesting to see, what parts, how much the algorithm knew about these different shows. But in the end, I gave up on that, partially because I found out about the environmental reasons. Like, I knew about other ethical reasons against AI. I used to be really into like AI art and stuff. I wouldn't see it as, wow, I've done an artwork. I'd be like, oh wow, this is a curious way that computers made observations on artwork and attempted to replicate whatever it's been asked to make. But I'd kind of learnt more about the ethical things about that. But I didn't know about the environmental ethical reasons against it, which I think also put me off on the writing a video essay on it. I've posted it as a members only. The script is a members only thing. It would have been much longer, but I did put it up there. I actually got AI to write a script for It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia about them trying to make money with AI. And of course they all talk to each other nicely because it's ChatGPT, and ChatGPT can't be mean ever. Which means that they don't sound like the characters from It's Always Sunny at all.
Charlie, my friend and confidant, help me. Thank you, Dennis.
Exactly. Yeah. So I've put that up as a members only thing. There's another script that I'd written most of. It was when Write or Die was around, so I'd written the initial draft of it, where I'd say over half of it, but it was, I probably would have expanded on it more, but it did kind of function as a complete review. There's a TV series starring Emma Thompson, Robbie Coltrane, from the 80s called Tutti Frutti, that was sort of a drama mini-series that did very well at the time. And I was going to make a video on it because I'd seen it all on iPlayer, but I found trouble. I couldn't find any footage of it in other places that I could then use in the video, and I couldn't even find like photographs to use as B-roll. So I was just kind of like, well, I can't really make a video with this. I mean, obviously copyright's always an issue, and I get a lot of compliments for my editing, but the reason why I have to cut my videos so much, I say I chop them up like it's a game of Fruit Ninja. And the reason I have to cut them up like that is, to avoid copyright detection. And if you're chopping something up that much, then it kind of has to fall under fair use, because it's like you've used so little of the original material as it was originally made. So there've been a couple of times where I've had most copyright claims are automated, so they're quite easy to lift. You just cut whatever it is caused the problem. But manual ones, they will just... I had a lot of trouble with this on my Robin Hood video essay. They will just claim, like, most of the video. And you can tell that it's automated because, I've, cut the thing so heavily, it's not... It can't really be used for its intended purpose anymore, if that makes sense. That one, it was actually a French company who had claimed it. So I've seen a lot of people on, it's one of the most annoying pieces of bad advice I see on like creator subreddits is, well, fair use and fair dealing doesn't matter because those are things that are decided in a court of law. And it's like, well, yes, but in the appeals process on YouTube, you have to argue that the way you've used it is fair use. So, there's, you're unlikely to ever have to deal with those rules within the system of the law, but within the system of YouTube's copyright system, you have to say it's whether it's fair use or fair dealing. And as it's called in the UK. And I managed to get it lifted. I found out, I went, well, it's a French company. I should check whether or not there is an equivalent to fair use over there. And I found it, and I found the quote in French law that pertains to fair use or whatever they're called over there as it pertains to reviews. And I put that in my message and replied back to them with that, and managed to get that claim lifted. So yeah, if anyone listening to this is planning on making a video on Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, just know that you will definitely have copyright issues. I know of someone who got a copyright strike because there's a music video that was at the end of the VHS tapes that isn't available anywhere else online except for for Facebook. It's managed to find its way onto there. But someone on YouTube just recorded with their phone, like their TV screen, playing the VHS of this music video for a few seconds, and they got a strike for that, which is ridiculous. So yeah, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves is a particularly difficult one. And it's difficult for that one as well, because for that video, I was talking quite in depth about the extended cut. So, I didn't have I couldn't really not use footage. Especially if, I'm like, well, I'd have to go back and write more lines to explain what's going on. I did do some explaining of what's going on and then showing clips, but still, you don't want to, you don't want to leave the audience in the dark if you've intended for a clip to go somewhere. I'm aware that you probably haven't asked a question in a while. I've just kind of been rabbiting on for quite a long time.
You're totally fine. I had this image in my head, like, if I ever make a video about, like, say I happen to cover Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, I think it'll probably get me into larger trouble, but it'd be a fun experiment of using footage from other Robin Hood movies, but like spliced in there like it's always meant to be there.
Yeah. I think if it was small enough that it would avoid detection, then I think it would be fine. The rule is between 5 and 8 seconds, I think, is like the maximum you can do without YouTube's automated copyright system detecting footage. But yeah, for the end of the video where I'm just talking about the film as a whole, I just went fuck it, and I got this video. I think I had shared the guy's video on my community tab before. I probably should have asked this guy, find a way of contacting this guy beforehand and asking him before I use this footage, but this was kind of at the 11th hour. The section at the end where I'm sort of talking about the film as a whole, there's this guy who did a fantastic review of the action figures. It's a channel that talks about the history of different action figures, and there's a great video talking about the history of these Robin Hood action figures, which were actually like all of the body molds were from Star Wars or something or other. That was just being reused, like I don't know, it's like Tuck has like an Ewok body or something ridiculous like that, underneath like this little bit of fabric on top. But anyway, he did this brilliant video with great footage of the action figures. I think he actually filmed it in Sherwood Forest as well. So I was just like, fuck it, I'll put that in. and especially because that bit is just like especially because it was claiming trailer footage, and with trailer footage is very nice as something that you can put in just while you're talking about the history of something, or you're talking about something overall, like with that inside number 9 one. That little opening, and they're talking about ghosts. I did myself with some stuff they'd already recorded for the behind the scenes interviews with Psychoville, and then the B-roll for like the beginning of me talking in that video is mostly inside number 9 trailer footage, and that's great for my lack of disk space, because then I can, for when I do my review of it, I've already got They're already downloaded. I have all the trailers. I think one series I couldn't find a trailer for it, but I have all of the Inside Number 9 series trailers. So yeah.
I I can foresee like for how the Robin Hood movies that come to mind. Like if I were to do Prince of Thieves, and then like I have this image where I have like cutting in like men in tights, and then
Yeah.
but then the Russell Crowe one, and then the Taron Egerton one. But I just imagine having this really dumb argument with like, well, you used copyrighted material specifically from Prince of Thieves. Like, no, no, that's. You think the part where they say "we're Butch" at the end of the song in Men in Tights is from Prince of Thieves?
Yeah. I mean, with my Sergeant Pepper video, I had one company claim it for Tommy and one company claim it for Sergeant Pepper, and they both just, claimed like 80% of the video. And it's like, I'm sorry, how can two different films have too much of them in it over, that length of time? I mean, some of my videos have hundreds of video sources in them. I use Shotcut at the moment. I'm so grateful. The latest update, they've put a search bar in the playlist section where you choose what video source to use, which is good because sometimes I've had over 100 definitely video sources in one video before. I've got plenty of sources for the Monkey's History one that I did ages ago, but I have not watched those videos that I used all the way through. I know there's a clip of the monkeys on Laughing where I only used one clip, and that was Mike going down the hatch when they're doing like the wall of jokes, whatever it is, in Laughing, because it's just fitted perfectly with like, and that's when Mike left. And so yeah, I know with some of those that I've used as B-roll, I haven't seen them all the way through. And like, there's plenty where I've like, oh, I need a clip of someone where they're like doing an interview or something, just where they're out of character. So I've got plenty of things like interviews and stuff that I've downloaded that I have never watched.
Now my question is, what's your percentage? What's your over under on getting copyright claimed not by the company that owns the band, but by Ringo Starr himself when you start covering the Beatles?
Yeah, I haven't had too much trouble with the Beatles ones actually. I'm trying to think. I don't think I've had much trouble with the Beatles ones, but I think it's mainly just because it's been a long time since I've had too bad trouble with that one. I mean, I've had an old video claimed recently, which is annoying. And I know with Monkeys music and Monkeys episodes, those are claimed quite easily. They weren't when I started recording because making that series, because most of them had been posted to YouTube, but they were all taken down. After I'd done like episode 4 or something. But anyway, but I know that's quite a difficult one. A few times there are people on Reddit who will like edit a video for free because they're trying to build up a professional portfolio. And I do have to remember to warn them in advance. You will have to heavily cut it, because if they haven't cut for copyright reasons before, they just won't know. It's like, no, you have to sort of cut it. And also, I send them a video of mine beforehand, but they might not know or like pay attention to how much I've cut it. But yeah, they I think it's just that they don't know that you have to cut stuff a lot. I think I have definitely have ones who've bitten off more than they could chew, and they've gone, I'm sorry, I don't think I'll be able to do this in time. Because yeah, it is. They are my easiest type of videos to do. I can edit them in a day. I just did that Young Ones one, which is similar kind of length, and edited the B-roll all the visuals for that in a day. But I know that, especially if you're not experienced with editing, I'm quite fast now because I know the keyboard shortcuts. And that really speeds it up, especially as I don't have a mouse, so I don't have to sort of drag things from my, the little mouse pad on my laptop. So that's probably advice I'd give if you're starting out editing, is to learn the keyboard shortcuts. And also, I remember the first couple of videos I don't know if you've seen some of my older ones, but the older ones that I did that were essays, I would have the blue background that I use a lot now, just because I've got an avatar and I kind of need space next to whatever I'm showing to put the avatar in, because it doesn't make sense just putting the avatar like on the screen. But it used to be that I would like have the B-roll like small and in the center, so I'd shrink it down, so it would be in the center of that, and I would do that with like every single clip, not realizing that I could just do that filter on it in the playlist, and then I would have to do that filter every single time I use footage from the same movie. But yeah, I mean, these are the kind of things that you just kind of have to learn while you're making your videos, because there is a lot of advice out there that is good, but and it's advice. There's a lot of advice that gets repeated a lot, and people are like, "Why are you repeating this same advice?" And it's like, well, because someone who's new to YouTube or who hasn't watched vidIQ a lot will not know these things. But I think there is a lot of stuff that you can't find on those kinds of channels, because it is specific to what you do and the kind of things that you make and the specific struggles you have, because of the type of content you make. Like the fact that not only do I make film reviews, but I'm faceless, so I've had to find workarounds for that. So yeah, you have, when you're doing YouTube, you have your own issues that you won't find answers to unless that, and talking to other people in your niche is definitely good. I have every a couple of days someone on Reddit announces that they're going to start a group chat for other creators to keep each other accountable and give each other feedback. And I was in one of these, and it just kind of didn't go anywhere because no one was really that interested in each other's style of content. So I've made one for film and TV reviewers like 3 years ago, and it's still going. It's not as busy as it used to be, and I'm sure a lot of people have left. But it's been great because then we can give each other advice for stuff that applies to us,
I get you. And I've bumped into a similar thing where I started this Discord server specifically for guests of the show, because I figured somewhere there's got to be some overlap. And not much has happened to that server at all.
Yeah, I have a Discord server, and it is difficult. I do post there whenever I have a new video, and I have a channel for people to post their videos. So there's also, so obviously you get a few posts like that. But yeah, it's not like a regular hangout. Like Headphones UK, hello to him if he's watching. He has a very active Discord server, but he's been on YouTube for over 10 years, and his community is very active. He's got, I mean, it's partially because he's got other people helping him out. He's got people who do like every day there's a watch party in that server of something that someone is doing. So that keeps it very busy. That's a very, very active server. I think I've got 40 or 50 in my server at the moment. But yeah, I think I should probably find a way of getting people to chat in there more. But yeah, at the moment it is a lot of just me announcing when a new video's come out.
I don't know how people find the time.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, so certainly with doing watch parties, I did a watch party once. I was planning on making it a weekly thing, and then it just didn't happen. But it's a shame because I like doing watch parties. Well, I say I like doing watch parties in Discord. I do find it difficult when because it's like, we be focusing on watching the thing together, or should we be talking to each other while we're watching the thing? That's the thing I found on Discord. Like Headphones UK's ones, it's all people like talking to each other about the thing that we're watching, which is particularly difficult if it's the first time you're seeing something. And yeah, it can be interesting because I mean I watched American Werewolf in London for the first time on there and someone on whoever was hosting it knew loads of facts about American Werewolf in London and was telling them as the film went on. But I suppose we probably were missing out on stuff in that film, but because of that. But yeah, it's kind of difficult to it's difficult to work out what's better, because I remember with the watch parties when I did Inside Number 9 live streams. I mean, with Psychoville, when it was me and George, it wasn't so bad because it was he'd seen the show before, I'd seen the show before. I didn't have to worry about missing anything, and I didn't have to worry about other people watching it missing anything. Whereas I did some Inside Number 9 ones a couple of years ago at Christmas, and there were ones that I hadn't seen before as well. So people were talking. I was like, no, shh. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I shouldn't be. I should be less uptight, but at the same time, I really don't want to miss anything.
The last time I was part of a watch party was right when the movie A Star Was Born with a Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper had come out. And like it was right after that movie had hit, streaming and whatnot, and people were, oh my god, this is the best movie of all time. And the group I watched it with, we were all just like, I don't get why people like it so much.
Yeah.
Like there's just not a lot happening here. And then like we kept trying to look at like the reviews of like, this is a beautiful and emotional movie. Like this, I don't think so.
Yeah, exactly. It's well, like I said, all art is subjective, and it's difficult to. I mean, it's interesting because I'm terminally online in sort of film spaces, and because I don't really watch them as much now as I should do, but because I have like people in that group chat who are also film reviewers who are all reviewing current films. I'm sort of listening to conversations about current films without like actually seeing the films, which is quite interesting. Probably the best person I've seen who like talks about like internet discourse surrounding pop culture is someone called Kayla Says. And she goes into she does the most popular series is called How the Internet Fell Out of Love With, and it was like how like a celebrity that had generally positive opinions about them had negative opinions about them, and it's like either like being cancelled for one reason or another, or just being cringy or saying the wrong thing about an important issue, that kind of thing. But anyway, they do also cover controversy surrounding movies. So they went through all of the discussions into what was that film that came out last year, that Emilia Perez. So that whole conversation surrounding that film really fascinated me. And on one hand, I was kind of like, I feel bad because on one hand, I haven't seen this movie and I'm, listening to all this discourse about it. And whereas, I should only really be thinking about it if I've seen the movie. But it's just the fallout over that was so fascinating because it was like on one hand, it was really well-meaning. On the other hand, it was like really offensive to all of those people they were trying to support, with the attitude of, well, this is art. We don't need to ask trans people if we've accidentally created an incredibly offensive caricature, because this is art, and you're just trying to tell the artist what to do. And it's like, no, you've just made a shit film.
You just don't get it.
Yeah, and it was interesting because it was a lot of the people who like wanted to support trans people but didn't know any better were like, oh, isn't it wonderful that this film exists? But anyway, I think Kayla Says is a brilliant channel in terms of talking about why whatever is happening right now is controversial. Probably the most recent film one she did one about the Wuthering Heights trailer, which I found interesting because I have read the book, and the main character dies before she reaches 20, and she's played by Margot Robbie, who is gorgeous but very clearly over 20. So, that and the other main character was written as a person of color, and only one film adaptation has cast a person of color in that role, and the new version also has not cast a person of color in that role. So, yeah, that's a whole thing. But so it is weird because I know what films are out, I know what films people are talking about, but I pretty much never watch them. But I think that's good because I wouldn't have, with the type of video I make, I wouldn't have the time for them to come out. That's why I'm doing a live stream on Spinal Tap 2. It's because it's a film I've seen. It's a film that I'm interested in talking about. And I don't see a lot of recent films. Like when I can't remember the last time I went to the cinema and saw a current film. I went to see I go to see like films that are like re-released sometimes, but that's pretty much it. But actually, have you heard of YouTube Partner Perks?
I've heard of them. I am unaware what they are. I'm not monetized.
There's not a lot about them, and I don't think everyone who's a YouTube partner has them yet. But they're it's basically like a rewards program where you get discounts and stuff. And I got a free cinema ticket, so I used it on that. So, but anyway, just so you know, we'll probably have to finish soon, because my computer's telling me that I have 30 minutes of remaining disk space. And it's actually been frustrating. I've had to re-record some videos recently 3 times because I'm exporting everything to an external disk drive, but I still need memory on my computer while I'm recording, otherwise Audacity will just crash.
Well, so I was going to say we are closing in on the hour and 40-minute mark.
Yeah.
So
fair enough.
So we will call it here. I do have 2 questions to get us out of here today. I ask them every episode. Mm-hmm. The first one is, do you have a video on your channel that you are particularly proud of that you'd like to see in the description of this video?
Oh, that is a difficult one. Damn, I'm gonna have to think about that.
I was gonna say, don't give me that answer.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of a particularly underrated one. So I think I'll say that Robin Hood video because the video essay on the extended cut, just because that was a particularly difficult one, and I think that's comparatively underperformed. I can't remember if it's below average or not. But considering the amount of effort I put in that, I'll probably say that one for now. And the other question?
And would you be open to coming back as a return guest?
Absolutely. This has been brilliant.
And Enchanted Essays, thank you for hanging out with me today. This has been an absolute blast. And party people at home, thank you for hanging out with us for this intercontinental edition of Demasked. Oh my goodness, my voice is giving out. Um, but but party people at home, please go check out Enchanted Essays. There will be links to not only the video but the channel in the description of this here video. And again, Enchanted, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been a blast.
Absolutely. And with that, everybody, this has been Demasked. My name is Fresman, and I'll see all of you next time.